Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Sermon at Hyde Park United Methodist Church in Tampa, Florida. I'm Mat Hotho, the Director of Production and Online Engagement.
And I'm Sally Campbell-Evans, the Pastor for Congregational Care.
So Sally, you just kicked off our Advent series, Draw Near. And oddly enough, you actually chose, or you were given, because we're doing a series that was given to us, but you had a text in front of you that is what we would call an apocalyptic text from the Gospel of Luke.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I did.
So in the sermon, you described what an apocalypse is, but can you rehash that for us for a second?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that text.
Yeah. Well, let me just back up and say I had never preached on this text before this time. John the Baptist, okay, we often start off Lent. We start off Advent with John the Baptist. You brood of vipers, wake up, pay attention.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon to have a jarring text like this on the first Sunday of Advent, but I had never preached on this one. And anyway, I was the lucky one who got to preach on it. And so, it's a jarring text, unsettling. Jesus is saying there's going to be signs in the sun and moon and stars. People are going to faint from fear. The seas are going to roar. It's foreboding.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I shared it with my small group last week, and they were like, "What in the world are you going to say about that? You tell McGray you need to change the text."
Yeah.
So I did a little research and also kind of looked at the word apocalyptic, which in Greek really just means revealing. And Jesus, and in a lot of the apocalyptic texts in Revelation and others, are just revealing God's presence in our midst. And I looked up how culturally we rarely talked about apocalyptic anything literature from the 1960s to 2019. The uses of that have gone skyrocketed.
Oh, interesting.
And that, I think, is because of pop culture, movies, books, the
Left Behind
series, all that.
Yeah, there is something about apocalypses. You can name movies with apocalypse and the apocalypse now, that kind of thing. The nuclear age that kind of brought around this idea of, wait a second, we could blow this whole thing up. What does that look like? I think about a book called The Last Babylon that envisioned a nuclear disaster in Florida. It's actually a really cool nuclear. Well, it's interesting because it takes place in Old Florida. And so it situates this fictional setting, but in a setting, or this fictional situation in a setting, though, that we're really intimately familiar with, which I think can tie back into apocalyptic literature because it takes into account the setting that you're in, right? Mm-hmm. It's not saying something that's going to happen in the future. That, okay, these signs and wonders, well, there's 7 signs and that correlates to the 7 nations that make up the European Union. I think McGray told me at some point that when he was in elementary school and high school, they would teach that that's what Revelation is talking about, right? Yeah. Is the European Union. I was like, no, that's not what it's talking about. A very present thing. Mm-hmm. I think if you go back and read Luke 21, and even one thing when a text is confusing, right, is if you just keep expanding around the text and reading more and more of it, it starts making sense, especially in the Gospels, as to, oh, that's what's happening here, right? So this whole thing with Jesus, he's at the temple. He's teaching at the temple right before he's going to die, right before he's going to be arrested and killed.
It's the last week of his life. It's the beginning. It's just before the Last Supper and then all that follows.
And so if he's got like his last week to teach people, what does he want them to know? Hey, when I'm gone,
pay attention.
Pay attention. Yeah.
Notice the fig tree, the new sprouts, the hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you don't have me saying this stuff to you, you've got to know how to find it around you.
Very well said. Yeah.
Which brings us, I think, to one of the key things that you were teasing out in your sermon, which is looking for hope, right? You brought up the example of Lane. You brought up the example of feeding refugees. We were just talking about how we're going to have a cold weather shelter here soon. Ways that in our community around us, we're seeing hope lived out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there are many signs if you open your eyes and see. This week, I've been so aware of a pastoral care situation here in our church. And so we've had several avenues of support to help this one situation. It's just been so hopeful for me to realize, okay, it's not just the staff carrying this. We have such a great team of folks that are surrounding one another in our community. And I long for that. I had someone say to me literally yesterday, we could not get through all this without the church, that community. Those are signs of hope that when we're doing our best, we are there for one another and in authentic and helpful ways.
Yeah. Yeah. This brings up another kind of little quip that I heard online, which was everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. Mm. And I think the hope would be that when we feel that desire for a village, a community, that we're reminded that requires discomfort sometimes. And that the hope would be that we can grow in being comfortable in that discomfort, right? I don't always have the right thing to say. Right. I don't always know what we're going to talk about, but I'm just going to be here with you.
Just sit in it until, And sometimes you don't have to say anything. Yeah. You just have to be there.
Yeah. That's you know that very well.
Yeah. That's super hopeful. Sometimes we say things we shouldn't say, which is better just to be quiet sometimes and just be in the presence of someone else, that ministry of presence. So important. Yeah.
Well, this may come up a few times in subsequent Beyond the Sermons, but I'd like to do a year in review around this time of the year, right? Okay, so we're getting into the holiday season. I mean, we've got, I think, 5 more Sundays in 2025.
Incredible.
And so what's one thing in this year that you're like, wow, I grew in this way, or this surprised me this year, or when I look back, I now see it differently?
For me personally, when I look at, the broadening reach of the care ministries of the church has been really joyful for me to look at. And there's still a lot more to do. There's still people that fall through the cracks that we didn't know they were in need. But we're doing better. And it's a hopeful thing. And I'm just so grateful for those who step forward. And I even know there are a couple that have offered help and I haven't even gotten them assigned yet. So that's it's a good place to be. But
that's good.
Yeah. And in our family, I think, I look back just yesterday, I was mentioning something popped up about Thanksgiving a year ago. And I thought, look how much my grandson has grown. And my other grandson hadn't even been born yet. I mean, that's so exciting to think this is going to be the first Christmas with them, this first holiday season together. Yeah. It's very fun.
That's great. I feel like I feel like in the last year, my relationship with my older stepchildren has just really gotten good. Yeah. It's just aged to this really sweet place where there's not a ton of conflict. We just get each other, and we now have inside jokes and things that we like to talk about. And we're also really comfortable sitting in silence with each other too, right? And just being with each other. And we're kind of on that other end of, whereas this year you've got, a new kid coming in. This is, I think, the second to last Thanksgiving holiday season that we'll have with Liam in the house. Right. I mean, before he goes off to college. I mean, obviously he'll probably come back, but they launch different. So quick.
They do.
It's just like, geez. So I think I'm just taking all that in.
And savor it. As McGray said last week in his sermon, let's all savor it. It's a great word for us to continue using.
Yeah. Well, I think savor is also a great word as we come off of Thanksgiving. If you're listening to this, you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully you got to savor some good food, some good community, some good friendship. We're going to wrap up our Beyond the Sermon right there. We're so glad you joined us for this episode of Beyond the Sermon. One final note, we are in our generosity campaign. So if you enjoy this content, if you share it with friends, or if you had this shared with you by a friend and you want to partner with us in ministry, it's really easy to do. You can go to hydeparkumc.org/EOG and submit an estimate of giving. Any amount makes a difference. $5 a month, $10 a month. Anything helps us continue doing ministry in the Tampa Bay area and beyond. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm Mat Hotho.
And I'm Sally Campbell-Evans with the reminder, keep your eyes open for signs of wonder.
We'll see you next time.